Good afternoon, my friends. This is Paul, and today I'm going to be reviewing to you Putt-Putt Travels Through Time for the Nintendo Switch. This is the sequel to Putt-Putt Saves the Zoo, although a very light sequel, because it has basically an all-new cast of characters besides Putt-Putt and Pep. And it doesn't really tie into the previous game whatsoever. It's still very much its own experience, although oddly, this released on the eShop before Putt-Putt Saves the Zoo, so I don't know what their priorities were. So I would highly recommend that you watch that previous video first, because this is basically the same game. It has the same mechanics, the same general art style. This time, there's a twist, and that's that Putt-Putt accidentally unleashes a time machine that sucks up all of his school supplies as well as his dog Pep. So Putt-Putt has to travel between 4 different eras: the age of the dinosaurs, the medieval times, the Wild West, and the distant future, in order to find his various things. Unlike Putt-Putt Saves the Zoo, the mouse cursor actually changes shape. I just thought I should let you know that. And this game actually holds up really well. I think this is actually my favorite Putt-Putt experience because it's so much fun to travel to the different time periods and sometimes even intersect various items and objects that you might find. Like, for example, you might find something in one era and then use it to affect another. I do find it very strange that the characters don't seem to really care that Putt-Putt is not from their native time period, as Putt-Putt just proudly announces to everyone that he's a time traveler, and no one seems to be scared of that or anything. They're just like, oh, okay, whatever, that's fine. But this is a children's game, so I'm not going to be too nitpicky. As children, they don't tend to spot as many plot holes as the adults do, and they tend to just really enjoy the game overall. There's not too much different in terms of the mechanics of this game between this and pretty much any Humongous Entertainment game for that matter. But there is a whole lot more optional content and significantly more replay value. Unlike Putt-Putt Saves the Zoo, Travels Through Time actually changes every time you play it, as there's multiple different scenarios that could play out. Like in one game, Pep might be in one area and then be in another on a different save file. So it's highly recommended that you play the game over and over again to try to see how the game could play out differently. This does lead to some areas of the game feeling entirely optional and like you wasted your time exploring. But thankfully, to make up for it, the game will usually reward you in some way for going out of your way to go to an optional area. For example, there's an area in the desert that you don't always need to go to, and you'll be rewarded with animal facts. Or you might find a fun zone in the future, and you'll get rewarded with this arcade machine that feels a lot like a cancelled Virtual Boy game. So, usually the game does a lot to make children feel like they're not just going to places for the sake of it and being like, oh no, I didn't find anything there. One thing that I do find that's a little strange about Travels Through Time is that the game didn't remove the print icon for the animal minigame in the future segment. But it's a minor little nitpick. It's a very faithful port of the original game. Just like with Saves the Zoo, it's the original aspect ratio, the sound is still compressed, yada yada. But I do really appreciate that the setting is much more varied and allows for more interesting time travel shenanigans. It allows for more visual variety, and I don't know, it's just overall a more satisfying time. However, like the previous game, this game is for children. So if you're older than, say, 7, you are probably not going to like this game a whole lot. Although if you're nostalgic for it, it's basically exactly the same as the PC version. And there were quite a few times where I did have to stop and think, which was way more than what I could say about Saves the Zoo. So it's slightly, ever so slightly more challenging, but still on the lower end of the difficulty tier as far as Humongous Entertainment games go. This is a very family-friendly game, so you don't need to worry about any profanity or dirty jokes or anything like that. So if you have a kid who's in the single digits, or a niece or a nephew or something along those lines, they are going to adore this game. Everyone else, you probably won't be very interested. So with that, thank you very much for watching. Let me know down in the comments if I missed anything or if you need more clarification. And until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic, God bless, and if time travel was actually real, I wouldn't change a thing about my actual life because I think I'm in a very good timeline. Bye!